This time, I would like to introduce a case that highlights how organized crime by Chinese nationals in Japan has reached an unimaginable level. First, take a look at this example. This happened in Kyoto, where Chinese company executives established 37 shell companies. These companies were allegedly linked to various crimes. To explain this situation, let me briefly touch on the scheme that allows people from China to come and settle in Japan. This is something we've mentioned several times on this channel before, but in China, there's currently a trend recommending the acquisition of a business management visa to stay in Japan. Chinese consultants familiar with Japan's system advise that obtaining a management visa is the quickest way to settle in Japan, and they actively support people in doing so. One commonly used method involves purchasing real estate in Japan. Claiming to be engaged in real estate rental business, these individuals can obtain visas and effectively settle in Japan. This, of course, requires significant financial resources, such as buying an entire apartment building or multiple properties to establish a real estate rental business. Therefore, this method is mainly accessible to the wealthy. However, for those who don't have that kind of money, another scheme comes into play, which ties into this particular case. It involves creating shell companies. These companies are made to appear as if they are operating legitimate businesses in Japan. By obtaining ownership of such companies, individuals can claim they are conducting business and apply for a management visa to settle in Japan. The ultimate goal of those creating numerous shell companies is to sell these companies to Chinese nationals who wish to become owners, enabling them to settle in Japan. This scheme is primarily utilized by Chinese individuals who have already come to Japan for other purposes. For instance, some come as students, graduate, and wish to remain in Japan but can't find employment. To avoid returning to China, they purchase a shell company, become its owner, and claim they are running a business to obtain a management visa. Setting up a company costs far less than purchasing real estate, making this a more affordable route to obtaining a Japanese visa and continuing to reside in the country. Although this approach involves illegal activity, these individuals create the appearance of operating legitimate businesses to support their unlawful stay. This case in Kyoto revealed that 37 such shell companies were established. However, this is likely just the tip of the iceberg. There are probably many others engaging in similar practices. Establishing a company in Japan is relatively simple, which raises the possibility that many Chinese nationals are using this loophole to stay in Japan without conducting legitimate business. This situation is partly due to the lack of thorough investigations by Japanese authorities into whether foreign nationals holding business management visas are actually running businesses. What's more concerning is how these shell companies are used for other purposes. After a company is established, a corporate bank account is created under its name, which is then sold to organized crime groups. Such accounts are convenient for international money transfers, making them valuable for criminal activities. In the Kyoto case, the discovery of 37 shell companies highlights this concern. It's alarming to think about how many more such companies might exist. While legitimate Japanese entrepreneurs struggle to open corporate bank accounts due to stricter regulations aimed at preventing their misuse, it's suspiciously easy for these Chinese shell companies to open accounts. This discrepancy suggests that some unknown factors or forces might be facilitating the process. This could involve regional differences, specific bank branches, or even influential individuals or organizations supporting these activities. The issue isn't just about Chinese criminal groups. There may also be a darker side to Japan's own systems enabling this behavior. For instance, one must question why banks are seemingly accommodating shell companies while rejecting legitimate businesses. The Kyoto case came to light thanks to a tip-off in October last year, where local authorities were informed about the extensive use of shell companies by a Chinese group for various illegal activities. Without this tip-off, it's uncertain how long these activities would have gone unnoticed. This underscores a major flaw in the current system. While management visas are easily granted, there's little to no follow-up to ensure that the businesses in question are actually being operated. This lax oversight creates an environment where illegal schemes like this can flourish. The people exploiting such schemes often have little regard for the law, making them likely to engage in further illegal activities once they've secured residency. Those who would return to China without violating the law are not the ones staying, it's those willing to break the law to remain who stay behind. In the context of broader immigration and governance issues, one has to ask whether the government is genuinely committed to addressing these problems. Despite the global focus on immigration-related challenges, Japan's response seems lackluster. Political leaders and media alike appear reluctant to address these issues head-on. Meanwhile, illegal schemes continue to grow unchecked, allowing more individuals willing to exploit the system to remain in Japan. Unless politicians prioritize this issue and bring it to public attention, we'll likely see a rise in such unlawful activities, eroding the integrity of Japan's systems. We need more leaders who are willing to tackle these issues and prevent further exploitation. That's it for today's discussion. See you in the next video.